Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yashodan Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jamuna Tera Manacha Jamuna Tera Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Gunja Vihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Shri Shri Radha Manavashta Saki Panchatattva Prahlad Nrsimha Bhagavan Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudiraye Nashta Praeshu Vadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Utamashloke Bhaktir Bhavatir Naishtiki. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, So, Hare Krishna, good morning, devotees. We are continuing Srimad Bhagavatam, starting with the 30th chapter, chapter 30 of the third canto, description of by Lord Kapila of adverse fruitive activities. So, fruitive activities that are, we can say, harmful, inauspicious. What are the other meanings of adverse? Entangling, destructive, suffering. Yeah, activities that you want to kind of steer away from, unless you have very refined taste of self inflict self harm, inflicting pain towards yourself or self harm, which it's a phenomenon of this world these days. There's issues of people self harming, especially in the youth. There's a whole many non-profits, but one that I came across with during the work tour was to write love on her arm. That's the name of the non-profit, and it dealt with specifically youth in terms of dealing with their depression, self-harm, and suicide prevention. So there are some activities that will kind of push you in that direction. It's very, very concerning, and it's a not phenomena, but it's a problem in present-day world, especially with youth. So we're trying to offer not solution, but offer alternative to those harmful ways of thinking, speaking, and also acting. Okay, we're going to cover 15. Yes. Discomfort, like unsatisfied, unsatisfied. Yeah. So it's a very peculiar situation when eternal living entity is put in a temporary situation with no knowledge of what to do or what not to do. So if you don't know what to do and what not to do, then there's a chance that you're going to end up in very in a harm's ways, right? Huh? in politics, and you might even get assassinated. It's a very dangerous world, as we saw this morning also. Devotee going up the stairs. What is that verse? There's a danger at every step. I mean, literally. I mean, literally, there's a danger at every step. And we think this cannot happen to me. This is the illusion, the power of illusion. That we see suffering all around us. We see people dying, but we think, in my case, no, there will be exception. How powerful this illusion is, especially when we are young, because we're intoxicated by youth. Yeah. Janma Shribi, or like Madhukunti said, we are intoxicated by four things: good birth, beauty, education, and wealth. So these are the major distraction. These things could distract you from forgetting that, distracting from the fact that this place is a dukkhalaya ashashvatam. It's temporary, you cannot settle, and it's full of misery. Full of misery. So how do we navigate? This is why Kapila Dev is offering like a map, roadmap. So he talked about devotional service previously in the length, couple of chapters. Now he's giving us things to avoid or things to recognize so we can avoid. Because sometimes if you don't recognize it, it becomes normalized, right? When suffering becomes normalized, that's like really, really bad, right? So like, what's wrong with you? Nothing. Smoking, drinking that poison that burns your throat. I don't know if you ever tried it, but the first shock, it's like you want to throw up, burns your throat, burns everything. But it becomes normalized. And then Friday night, just go down the University Avenue. That's all that people do. They just drink, literally drinking poison, destroying their inner organs, destroying their body, destroying their precious human form. Because it becomes normalized. So that's how powerful the illusion is. Who is crazy? Right? Prabhupada wrote a whole chapter. Who is crazy? They think we're crazy. And do we think they're crazy? No, we don't think they're crazy. We just think they are unfortunate. Unfortunate that they cannot see things for what they are. Okay, so we're going to get the map, and we're going to see Kapila Deva is going to help us navigate through this rather dangerous world. Okay, we're going to cover first 15 verses, and then we're going to read the purport of the verse number 3. I'll start. The personality of God had said, as a mass of clouds does not know the powerful influence of the wind, a person engaged in material consciousness does not know the powerful strength of the time factor by which he is being carried.
Whatever is produced by the materialist with great pain and labor for so-called happiness, the Supreme Personality, as the time factor, destroys. And for this reason, the conditioned soul laments.
So you can see verse number 1. What does that remind you of? You can't even tell, right? And this is another nature of illusion. It's imperceptible. You can't even tell. It comes. You like falling asleep. Do you really notice when you fall asleep? Right? It's imperceptible. It's like, huh? Yeah, you noticed 8 hours later. You noticed 8 hours later. So that's how illusion sneaks up on you. That's how Maya sneaks up on you. You think you're fine. And this is why Sadhu Sangha or devotee association is so essential. Because we are supposed to be, we're meant to be our brothers and our sisters' keepers. Say, hey, Prabhu, I've noticed this or that. And hopefully that we don't, when we approach in that way, we don't become too defensive or too, yeah. But we take it as something maybe to be considered. So it's imperceptible, just like the clouds does not know the powerful influence of the wind. A person who is absorbed materially does not know the powerful strength of the time factor. It's imperceptible. It comes like you can't tell. You can't tell like you're getting old because every day you're seeing yourself in the mirror. But let's say your mother Ari, or should I say, Hari, didn't see you for 5 years, and then she sees you. She will tell the difference, right? We cannot tell because we're, yeah, we're covered. But if there's a difference, like year, 2, 3, 5 years, nobody's like, hey, you have, well, maybe you're growing still. You have grown so much, or you have changed. So it's imperceptible. We cannot tell. It's a blind spot. We have a blind spot. So that's why we need devotees. They can tell us. Okay, just it's a number.
The misguided materialist does not know that his very body is impermanent, and the attractions of home, land, and wealth, which are in relation to that body, are also temporary. Out of ignorance only, thinks that everything is permanent.
The living entity, in whatever species of life he appears, finds a particular type of satisfaction in that species, and he is never adverse to being situated in such a condition.
The conditioned living entity is satisfied in his own particular species of life, while deluded by the covering influence of the illusory energy. He feels like little inclined to cast off his body, even when in hell, where he takes delight in hellish enjoyment.
So yeah, we talked about it. Like people are in hellish situation, but still, it's normalized. I think it's okay. Have you ever met that? I mean, you mentioned situation in your family, right? From the early on, it's like unhealthy diet. I mean, from like people getting cancer, like from like in their youth, because of all the chips, all the Cheetos, all the processed food, all the sodas, it's just like the, the environment is so hostile and not human friendly. So unless you learn how to navigate, you might end up, losing all your teeth at at the age of 13 or 15. So, right? You were sharing that.
Yeah, my sister actually has been having teeth problems like that. She's only, I think, 14 or 15, and her teeth are starting to rot out. Like, yeah, because I mean, that's just the way that the family does it. You know what I mean? It's kind of like I've seen the big fat man. He was like 600 pounds or something like that because his dad was just he kept on giving into his addiction, and he would bring him all the food. It's the same way. Like my dad, he gives into the kids' addictions. Their addictions is food, like eating all that nasty food, and then watching and playing video games all day. So if you just enable them, then I mean, they're just gonna stay. They're gonna die younger because they're just putting trash in. What you put in is what you get out. So I definitely feel that it makes sense with that. They're in a hellish environment, but yet it's comfortable.
They are enjoying. Yeah. Even the pig enjoys, right? You heard the story about Indra, how he got cursed. You didn't hear the story? Who knows the story about Indra getting cursed because he has mildly, just say disrespected his spiritual master. So his spiritual master cast him to the hellish region. Who knows the story? Who wants to, like, just in few short. Okay. Anyway, Indra ended up being a pig because he didn't know how to offer proper respect to his spiritual master. And it's perfectly fine. That condition also was normalized. So much so that there was a war that came between the demigods and the demons, as usually comes. There's always a war between suras and asuras in a cosmic um, um, scheme of things. And they came down and said, Indra, we need you. We need your help. Just give up this low body of a pig. He said, nope. Nope. I'm very comfortable here. I got my Miss Piggy and my piglets. I'm attached. This is my life now. Of course, he didn't know he was Indra. He said, "What do you mean? Like, this is my life." Totally covered. So much so, he was refusing. They had to release him from that wretched, low life body so he can come out and come to his senses. What happened? Oh my God. It's like, when you're out of illusion, you go like, oh my God, like that was so crazy, right? So it's like that. They're genuinely enjoying that. They're genuinely attached. Pig eating stool. Pigs, they can eat everything, anything and everything. They even eat their own babies, like gators or crocodiles. Yeah, I heard either gators or crocodiles, they eat their own. And many animals, they eat their own. We as humans, we don't eat them. We just kill them in a womb. And as the Kali Yuga progresses, it's true, towards the end of Kali Yuga, there'll be factory farms, but of a different kind, where ladies will just produce children so they can feast on, or maybe it's already. Yes, that is true. And from some unconfirmed sources, I've heard there's some underground restaurants in New York, in Chinatown, where that kind of flesh can be ordered for top dollar. But this is Bhagavatam class, so we won't be going into the details and the marketplace details of these kind of things. But people like hellish, just because it's hellish doesn't mean it's bereft of enjoyment. People are genuinely enjoying these things. So it's very unfortunate situation. And there's no point of reference unless the devotee comes and offers you a nice cheesecake. Or as Prabhupada put it very like this term of higher taste. Such an interesting term, right? Higher taste. So taste is there, but it's higher. We always have to remember that there's higher taste. We might be struggling in this and that. What is the solution? What is the answer? I can't hear you. We might be struggling with this or that, but there is a solution. And the solution is, oh, this is so weak, guys. This phrase is so nice. We might be struggling in things in this life, but there is a solution, and that is a higher taste. Yes. How do we get the higher taste? Okay, association, devotional service. Yes. When you work hard for Krishna, then one very interesting thing will happen. Krishna will reciprocate. And how will reciprocate is when you put your hand in a bead bag, this magic will happen. Oh, I left my bead bag in it. You have a bead bag? Yeah. So when you work very hard for Krishna, and one day after you work very, very hard for Krishna the day before, you're gonna put your hand in the bead bag and you're gonna feel like taking off. It's not by your power. You chanted many, many times before. But why is it that this morning is so special? Because Krishna is reciprocating on your hard work and how you're applying yourself, trying to apply yourself to the process. This is the secret. The holy name is a person. Krishna is a person. And he will reciprocate. If we're doing like haphazard, oh, I really have to Okay, I'll do it. Dragging our feet. And Krishna be impressed. Okay, you want it, but you don't want it um, so much. So Krishna reciprocates so much. But as one approaches me, I will reward him accordingly. But if one applies him or herself so hard and roll up their sleeves and start cleaning things around, Prabhupada said devotees revolutionary clean. And that's another thing that will reflect on your consciousness. You start making and maintaining things very nice and clean, organized. You cannot tolerate things that are dirty around you. That's another symptom of good chanting. Good chanting will bring about that revolution in the heart, and you won't tolerate things around you that are unacceptable. Yes, bro.
I have a comment and a question. So the comment is, we're talking about people going downtown and drinking. I was thinking, self-harm in terms of intoxications, it's a self-harm. And people drink when they're depressed, and then somebody can make an argument that they drink when they're happy to celebrate. But my argument would be, they probably drink because they know it's going to be short-term happiness. So they drink because they know it's not going to last. So the question is, I think it's Bhaktivedanta Saraswati that says that you can only give up something if you get something better. I mean, non-Krishna consciousness is better, but we also know that it's got like poison in the beginning. So the question is, how do you push through and work through the poison, quote unquote, poison stage, and have enough enthusiasm to just to push through?
So, in a disease state of existence, the medicine might be bitter. The question is, how do we pull through the process of experiencing Krishna consciousness as poison in the beginning, but trusting that it's going to be like nectar at the end? What can help us to push through that? Yeah, there's another mode of nature that it tastes like nectar in the beginning, but it's poison at the end. That's passion. Correct. 10 points for Ari. I'm sorry, not Ari. Hari. It's just one letter short, might as well. It's passion, yeah. It's like, yeah, so much nectar in the beginning, but then at the end, it's like you said, like regret and feeling bad about it, just suffering consequently. The early morning, what's it called? The headache after you drink. Hangover, yeah, the hangovers. It's like so much this hidden price that we pay for these cheap trills that we have. No good. So how do we plow through taking that bitter medicine? Because as Rupa Goswami gives the example of jaundice. When you have jaundice, sugar doesn't taste sweet, it's bitter. But what makes one keep taking the sugar? Although it's like, bitter, and nothing more bitter in your life you didn't taste. But they keep taking sugar. Why would one keep taking that? Because they trust the physician. So without having a faith in your physician, which in this case, it's a spiritual physician, your teachers, one will not find enough patience or determination to continue. So we need, faith in our, I guess, mentors and guides. Okay, I'm having a hard time, I'm struggling with this and that, but I have faith that one thing will help me in due course. And that is higher taste. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Higher taste will come, and there will be samples of higher taste along the path. There was like this, like as you're taking sugar, there's this the glimpses of sweetness. It won't be always, because as you continue, there will be more and more glimpses of sweetness. So these affirmations. Actually, it's sweet. Oh, I thought it was bitter, but it's actually sweet. Oh, I can keep going with more vigor now. We all need that. You're going to need those confirmations of sweetness of the holy name, because who can just go and plow through the desert without any drop? We need that. So, and that's why we're applying ourselves hard. So with that, so far, okay, let's continue. I really want to finish with the purport, which we didn't even start.
Such
6.
satisfaction with one's standard of living is due to deep-rooted attraction for body, wife, home, children, animals, wealth, and friends. In such association, the conditioned soul thinks himself quite perfect.
Although he is always burning with anxiety, such a fool always performs all kinds of mischievous activities, with the hope which is never to be fulfilled, in order to maintain his so-called family and society.
Hope that never dies. If I just try hard enough. Oh, I didn't try hard enough. Let me try. Let me hit my head harder. Maybe it will produce pleasure. No, it never dies.
He gives heart and senses to a woman who falsely charms him with Maya. He enjoys solitary embraces and talking with her, and he is enchanted by the sweet words of the small children.
This is what makes the world goes around, right? This attraction between the opposite sex or same sex these days too.
The attached householder remains in his family life, which is full of diplomacy and politics, always spreading miseries and controlled by acts of sense gratification. He acts just to counteract the reactions of all his miseries, and if he can successfully counteract such miseries, he thinks that he is happy.
Just adjusting, constantly adjusting, and never really satisfied and peaceful and happy. Just a constant adjustment, running after the shadow, never to catch it. It's like an animal and running in the desert. That there's a, familiar with mirage. So they think there's appearance of water, so they go, and then never to reach what appears to be water until they drop dead. That explains the situation of any materialist. Never fulfilled, never satisfied, never peaceful. Running after the mirage just to drop dead in due course. 10. He secures money by committing violence here and there, and although he employs in the service of his family, he himself eats only a little portion of the food thus purchased. And he goes to hell for those whom he earned the money in such an irregular way.
When he suffers reverses in his occupation, he tries again and again to improve himself. But when he is baffled in all attempts and is ruined, he accepts money from others because of excessive greed.
Thus, the unfortunate man, unsuccessful in maintaining his family members, is bereft of all beauty. He always thinks of his failure, grieving very deep.
Seeing him unable to support them, his wife and others do not treat him with the same respect as before, even as miserly farmers do not accord the same treatment to their old and worn out oxen.
The foolish family man does not become adverse to family life, although he is maintained by those whom he once maintained. Deformed by the influence of old age, he prefers himself to meet ultimate death.
Mm. And the final verse for today. Thus he remains at home, just like a pet dog, and eats whatever is so negligently given to him, afflicted with many illnesses, such as, what is it? Dyspepsia. What is that? Digestive issue. Oh, they have those peps. Pepto, yeah. So, huh? Yeah. Dyspepsia, yeah. Too much Pepsi. That's, you gotta watch out. And loss of appetite. He eats only very small morsels of food, and he becomes an invalid who cannot work anymore. Have you become depressed yet? Should we continue? It's a very, very sad situation. So how do we avoid that? Yeah. And not just waiting until you grow old, because you don't know. First of all, you don't know if you're going to grow old. There's no guaranteed. So this is Bhagavatam. Parikshit was cursed to die in 7 days. So it guaranteed 7 days. We don't know. We are not guaranteed 7 minutes. In reality, we don't know. Nobody knows when their time is. I met a girl in a line the other day, Krishna lunch. She had glasses on and some, like a cast. You were there? Cast in her arm. I said, what happened? She said, I got hit by the truck. She was young, 20, early 20s. And then I noticed there was scars on her face. She said, I got hit by the truck who ran the red light. And I lost 8 of my teeth. And then she showed all these are fake. And she had broken arm, skull was also gouged open. She said, I'm happy, I'm alive. Yeah. She was driving her bike, just a regular day, crossing the street when it was her turn. And there was a truck running a red light. Boom. Just out of nowhere. Hare Krishna. But in any situation, we find a great solace in higher taste. And as we develop a higher taste while we are young, not when we grow old, because when you grow old, all the senses are already wasted. So it'll be very difficult to control your mind and senses. So now that you're young, now that you have strength, this is the time to curb down this restless mind, rather uncontrolled senses. And then there's a hope that in our old age, we can avoid this kind of embarrassing and disgraceful situation of material agenda. So we're going to read the purport of number 3 and get more illumination, the ultimate Bhaktivedanta illumination. I'll just read the Sanskrit and then we'll go straight. Yadadrusvasya dehasya sanu bandasya durmati durvani manyat te moha griha kshetravasu. And the translation is, altogether, the misguided materialist does not know that his very body is impermanent and that the attractions of home, land, and wealth, which are in relationship to the body, are also temporary. Out of ignorance only, he thinks that everything is permanent. Purport. The materialist thinks that and any volunteers? Okay, go ahead. You want to do it?
The materialist thinks that a person engaged in Krishna consciousness are crazy fellows wasting their time by chanting Hare Krishna. But actually, he does not know that he himself is in the darkest region of craziness because of accepting his body as permanent. And in relation to his body, he accepts his home, his country, his society, and all other paraphernalia as permanent. This materialistic acceptance of the permanency of home, land, etc., is called illusion of Maya. This is clearly mentioned here. Mohad Griyad Kegshrav Basuni. Out of illusion only does the materialist accept his home, his land, his money as permanent. Out of this illusion, the family life, national life, and economic development, which are the very important factors in modern civilization, have grown. A Krishna-conscious person knows that this economic development of human society is but temporary illusion.
Another part of Srimad Bhagavatam, the acceptance of the body as oneself, the acceptance of others as kinsmen, relationship to this body, and the acceptance of the land of one's birth as worshipable are declared to be the products of an animal civilization. When, however, one is enlightened in Krishna consciousness, he can use these for the service of the Lord. That is a very suitable proposition. Everything has a relationship with Krishna, and all economic development and material advancement are utilized to advance the cause of Krishna consciousness. A new phase of progressive life arises.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Huh? The only thing that's permanent is change. Adi Prabhu is contributing. So this is a great impetus that now that we have time and now that we have energy, we can try to develop a higher taste. It's a great impetus. If not now, when? Huh? Yeah. This is the beginning of Vedanta Sutra. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Atato Brahma Jigyasa means now is the time to inquire about the Absolute. Now that you have a human form of body and now that you have time. There's two meanings of that. Now is the time. There's a sense of urgency. Don't postpone, don't wait. Otherwise you're going to end up like Walt Disney. You know what Walt Disney tried to do? Yeah, he tried to freeze himself until in the future they will find some magical cure. And then what happened? The cleaning lady by accident just unplugged the fridge. Such is the irony of our attempts to manipulate this material energy. No, forget about it. It's all they say castles in the sky. You have that saying in Belarusian? Kula na oblaku. Kula na nebu. Kula na oblaku. There's a castles in the sky. You know, don't trust the future, no matter how bright it is. All you have is now, and applying ourselves in Krishna consciousness, working hard, is the greatest investment you can make. Okay, any other comments or questions? Yeah, we have full time.
About inquiring now. Prahlad Maharaj, he was telling to his classmates this science, spiritual life, and they were all 5 years old. So they argued that, dear Prahlad, you know, this science of self-realization is for old people, because their time is to die. He said, what is old age? It's time that's just before death. He said, how do you know? Maybe you are already old, even at 5 years old. So, yeah, even though we're young. should take it as. And your Guru Maharaj, this wonderful book, Die Before Dying.
Die Before Dying.
And it's if anybody hasn't read it yet, it's an amazing book. Really makes you see things clear.
Yeah, I mean, here's a very nice gratitude exercise for all of you, so you can appreciate what's given, the time you were given, and the facility you were given. How would you think, speak, and act if you knew this was your last day? Would that make any shifts in the way you think, speak, and act? Right? You can just meditate. Actually, since you brought him up, he used to write a diary every day. He would write to Srila Prabhupada as if this was the last day of his life. How would I think? What would I say to others, to myself? And how would I act if I knew? There's a very nice documentary. It's called Grief Walker. You can look it up. It kind of, because unless you embrace the temporary nature of this world, you will never awake. You will always become you will always be intoxicated with distractions. Great philosophers, they'll always keep the skull in their writing desk. Why? Because it was a reminder, so they don't get distracted by And Prabhupada defined intelligence in that way. He said, actually, philosophy means to always keep the death in front of you. Not in a morbid way, but understanding we want to be disillusioned with promises that are there, but they never deliver. Material energy, material scheme of things will make promises, but they will never deliver. So one has to become disillusioned, as Kapila suggests here, and helping us navigate through that. So Jiv Jago, Gora Chandra Bole. Wake up, sleeping souls. Call out the name of Gora. Gauranga. You guys are shy this morning. Gauranga. And that's the high taste, my friends. Mahaprabhu, Gaurnitai. They're very eager to give their higher taste, but we have to apply ourselves. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.